Thank you, Rebecca. Thanks so much for performing here at Elizabeth's Crazy Little Thing open mic. Thanks to Ghost Rat. So we're going to have our feature come up, but then we're going to have open mic after the feature. So the sign-up list is over here, and Diane's our bartender, and this is my lovely co-host, Rich Experience, who helps me with sounds and lights and physical reality. So if you're a musician and you need any help, he's your guy. Wave to the nice people, Rich, please.
It's good to be back, everybody. I missed the last two shows because I was out making dressing, salad dressing. Lots of balsamic, lots of peppercorn ranch.
Yum, peppercorn ranch. That sounds good. That's very good. Okay. So we have a special feature. He's coming here from Cleveland, Ohio. He knows a lot about Bob Dylan, and our theme is Subterranean Homesick Blues. So please welcome Charles Cicirella.
Hey, I want to use a music stand. Thank you very much. Assuming we're videoing.
We're good to go. Are we good to go?
Let me double check.
Is it rolling, Bob?
Double check everything.
I wore my Superman shirt. I like this place, even with all the chatter. Oops. Ostracize the crowd now. Are we ready?
Okay, Charles.
I'm ready. I know, you may need to readjust it. I'm sorry, I apologize. I can't see anything. This first poem is actually by Joni Soule. The Dangerous Monk. The skeleton and the broken girl hovered in the kitchen, making peanut butter balls. The dangerous monk was masturbating in the next room. She was guilty. You were a slave, cooking and cleaning, taking care of your sick father. You wanted to be a student of art and beauty. Your mother wouldn't allow it. I was a baby Jesus, a martyr in the making, full-time psychologist, explorer of truth ghosts, saviors, and heroes. We were talking about trains, taking us to beautiful places. Last stop, Amanda Marga, path of truths, of stiffs, or bliss. Theory, you must be a stiff before truth, before bliss. I think about the dream. Do you remember peanut butter balls? How courageous we were, kneading the ingredients, while the terrifying monk masturbated in the next room. It's a poem by Joni Soule. She's in Austin, Texas. She's an amazing writer. She's also an amazing singer and painter. Amazing painter. And this poem is called Soule. You write your soul, but still no one seems to get you. They make fun of you or ignore you completely. That's funny. It's like high school all over again, and no one wants to sit with you at lunch. Most of the time, I don't have a clue what I am talking about. And for great intellects, I would much rather put a sock in it than try and make sense out of the equation my brain is sorting out. I like donuts with chocolate frosting and white cream, and no, that is not a euphemism. If I've been a good boy, I don't see why I can't have my cake and eat it too. Because we all deserve to live a little, even if we're without a job and living on someone else's dime. You paint your own tyranny of the empty room, but no one seems to be paying any attention. That's so weird. They go on and on about the next big thing, when the next big thing is you. And that has been true from the moment you were created and started painting with your fingers. We're not celebrity artists. We're in it for the long haul. No matter how many beguiling martyrs are forsaken and charming cult leaders go up in smoke, most of the time I'm flat fucking broke and flat on my back, trying to find someone to converse with while watching one miserable television show after another, because I find a short attention span more interesting than a long vacation abroad. Wilco! I have a taste for chicken McNuggets, even though when going to McDonald's today, I instead ordered 2 Filet-O-Fish sandwiches. I thought about getting a McFlurry with Oreo cookies when I left, but it was so fucking cold outside, I decided against it. Junk food maintains me like phone sex sustains me. Because to be perfectly honest, I am finding it far easier to turn the next phrase, Elizabeth, than to learn a new magic trick. Joni, I am sorry for continually interrupting you when we're on the phone. There's no excuse for my being so rude. It's just knowing you is better than any drug I have ever ingested. You feed my soul. And like Oliver Twist, please, sir, I want some more. Your fairy heart shines a light on my warlock psyche. Can you guys shut up? Reminding me why I'm still pressing down these keys and singing completely off key. Talking is one thing. You start yelling, I've had enough. I'm sorry. I'm not putting up with it. I don't care. This is called Another Poem About Bob Dylan. I hear him pleading like an American, pleading like a human stain. I hear his reckless chitter-chatter, and I am blinded by his supernova sensibilities, blinded by his intellect burning a hole in the sun. I am given new eyes to see when he punctures the skyway. Another train car smoking down the tracks. Another troubadour freed from their Houdini chains. Another Gemini trickster spoiled by the duality of their sins. This junkyard medicine, it deserves a special place in heaven. I was born a poet, and someday I'll surely die a poet. What's it to you? Take me on a trip upon your magic swirling ship. I'm ready to join this circus and get the hell out of Dodge. That's how you do it, Dan. That's how you do it. I've known Dan a long time, but he's never really seen me read. Couple times. Words untoward. It seems like everyone is writing poetry these days. It's not such a hard job. Just string together some words and get out of the way. I've never really thought of myself as a poet. That's an eminent title, and I'm more of a shoe polisher than a pope. Poet or Virgin Mother. Believe in a reversal of misfortune. It's about all you have to do. Just grab hold of the technicolor rainbow and don't look back. Unless you want to turn into a pillar of salt like Lot's wife did so many years ago. I remember hanging out with Nero in Rome as Rome burned, and how disappointed he was when he tried to bum a cigarette, and I told him that I didn't smoke. It seems like everyone wants to be radicalized these days. First, there was a war on drugs, then there was a war on terror, and neither one of them really seemed to do much good. In fact, I believe in both cases, the allotted targets only grew bigger and more out of control. You want to change the world? Forget about it. Because the world is one hard-headed mofo, and the blood and the grease on our hands is only going to get thicker. Because when push comes to shove, we're all Catholic priests with an altar boy or two in our closets. These words, they're untoward. These words are broken, they are scarred, and they are disassembled. I'm not Mary Poppins, and even if I was, I would prefer you keep your Lady Gaga and her duplicitous tributes to yourself. The very first poem I ever wrote, it was about the moon. Before I die, I hope to write a poem about shooting the moon. Groucho Marx was a poet. Karl Marx, not so much. But I believe that both men were dyed-in-the-wool romantics. Seems like everyone is writing their very own obituary these days. They start with all of these verbose adjectives that leave you wondering who they're even talking about. And before you know it, they're out of breath and wishing they'd been put out to pasture long before the stars were torn down. I want to die, but not because I am a fatalist, but simply because I believe death. It'll give me more, it'll give me more, I knew I would do that. It'll give me more of an edge. Please understand, I'm not in any hurry to spiral off this mortal coil. But when it does happen, I will lean into it like all good poets do. Souls, we are naked, we are sunsets, we are seers, not JCPenney's. I held this poem underwater. It yapped like a pedigree beagle. Water torture is not for patriots, mavericks, or pussies. We are burning. We are Halley's Comet. We are storytellers. I held this poem up to the light. It shined brighter than any supernova. Rainbows are for leprechauns, munchkins, and torch singers. We are live wires. We are lightning in a bottle. We are stigmata. I would read this next poem for the bartender, but Well, I'm gonna read it for the bartender, but it's not. Okay. Underwater. I like the movie Last Tango in Paris because of the performances, not because of the scene with the butter. You need to see the movie to understand that. Underwater. Submerged. Encased in mercury. I do the reach around to take my own temperature. I prefer coffee enemas and my water torture to be a la carte. I remember prom, the white tux, and Michelle's peach dress. I am at a loss for words. More of a wallflower than a wild flower. I've run aground, all of my excuses cut from the same dirty washcloth. I am tired of coming up for air when everything on the surface is redundant and lacking depth. Emerging, covered in memories. I shove my fist up my own ass to see if I'm running hot or cold. I prefer Patron XO Cafe coffee liqueur and my bartender to be Diane and my bartender to be without a sense of humor. Tip your bartender. This next poem, we're gonna bring Rich up here. I'm gonna keep calling him Rick just for the hell of it. We actually planned this. This is not improv. This is another poem for Joni. I play with a lot of instruments, never a guitar. This will be my first time. That's what she said. This is called Mother Revisited. Silence, silence breaking, silence breaking, silence breaking, suffering no more, suffering no more. She paints and dies, she lives and cries. We break apart, we fall like dominoes into an unmarked grave. I love her, but that does not change anything. I love her, and that does not mean anything. I heard her crying. I heard her crying. I heard her crying, crying, crying. Crying, crying. She was in the other room, 1,385 miles away. I have this bad habit of constantly interrupting her when we're on the phone. I don't know if I'll ever learn to shut up and listen. Yes, we're artists. We're artists. And no, there is nothing even the least little bit romantic about it. There's nothing romantic about it. There's nothing romantic about it. There's nothing romantic about it. Mother revisited. Mother revisited. Mother revisited. Mother revisited. She paints, but I honestly don't know if that sets her free. She lives, and I honestly am not sure what any of this means. She is not silent. She is not silent. She is not silent. Pay attention, and you will hear her. You will hear her asking for help. Mother revisited. You will hear her. You will hear her down by the pylons. Down by the pylons. Take it all back. Way back. Take it back. 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 Take it back. Take revisited. Mother revisited. Mother revisited. Rich on guitar. This is called Slumlord. Take off your shirt. Take off your t-shirt. I'll wait. You know how much I love your small breasts. I promise to suck on one at a time, even though they would both fit perfectly into my big mouth. Take off your leggings. You know how much I've always loved your plum-shaped ass. I promise no funny business until you're completely naked and we have found something we both can watch on television. There's no disputing that when we dated, it was like an anti-Semite and a Jew hanging out while cities burned and America lost its new car smell. There's no denying how freakish I acted when you found someone else to carve pumpkins with. I'll never forget that payphone on King Avenue and repeatedly hitting myself in the head with the handset when you hung up for the final time. They tore down the apartment building of our love, Juliet, because we were slumlords of our own desperate and deplorable fantasies. They built a 7-Eleven on the sacred ground where we once fucked like two malnourished bunny rabbits, strung out on Camel unfiltered cigarettes and Krispy Kreme donuts. I always believed that you were out of my league, and I have this gnawing, sick feeling you felt the same as we exited this war-torn structure, admitting to nothing while writing our poetry in blood and other less favorable liquid refreshments. It was a love poem. I want to read this for Elizabeth, not because of what the poem's about, but she'll know why. This is called Homeland Security. I was going to ask her to come up and read this part, but I'm not going to. And there's a reason. You don't want to come up. It's ugly up here. You can blame it on the terrorists all you want. But the problem isn't so much the terrorists, but rather how easily we, all of us, have allowed them to get inside of our heads. When we started to use the word homeland, that is when the shit really hit the fan. The word homeland, it makes me think of the Nazis and the fatherland and all that other bullshit going along with that failed and evil ideology. 9/11, it was a horrendous and tragic day, and there's no disputing that. But why does America act like they're the only ones to have ever been attacked on their own soil, when in fact America is late in coming to this insidious party? My boyfriend's back, and you're gonna be in trouble. Hey la, my boyfriend's back. I have no idea how I'll ever be able to explain to him how things got so screwed up in such a short amount of time. The world has completely changed since 9/11, and it's not the terrorists who are to blame, but instead all of us for how we choose to deal with this radicalized state of affairs. We surrendered our civil liberties, and we turned our backs on our supposedly trustworthy leaders. I hear you guys had an election yesterday. An election. So they could wreak more havoc and break apart our republic for which it supposedly stands. When you see them coming, Better cut out on the double. Hey la, my boyfriend's back. I remember when we could tell the good guys from the bad guys, or at least we thought we could. Back then, there were no 24-hour news cycles, and the term lamestream media had not yet been coined by some grizzly bear mom who had her 15 minutes of fame, but lacks enough sense to know when to call it a day. You can blame it on the terrorists all you want, but we best start taking a good look at ourselves. Otherwise, we're just going to become more and more paranoid as a nation and give ourselves an even bigger black eye than we already have. Hey, he knows what you've been trying, and he knows that you've been lying. Hey la, my boyfriend's back. Couple more. This is another love poem, and I can't tell the person who I wrote it for that it's for them. Those are the kind of love poems I like. It's called Cascade. I desire to paint you unclothed in my closeted mind. I so badly want to witness your belly button, which I believe resembles Da Vinci's The Last Supper, minus the religious overtones. I need to bowl a strike with you naked while drinking Guinness straight from the leprechaun's engorged penis. I'm not one for pussyfooting around, and when it comes to small talk, you can count me out. We can stand around having a pissing contest to see who has the greater intellect, or we can call it a draw and get down to watching Netflix in bed while eating Chinese food and lowering our guards. I used to believe in a second coming before finally accepting that women, they have men beat hands down when it comes to multiple orgasms and the heavy lifting of hostage negotiations. I am drawn to you like a moth to a flame, drawn to you like Welch's 100% grape juice to a Valentino lace blouse. I desire to sculpt you with the most unarchaic of prose. I so badly want to not want you, and know I'm barking up the wrong tree, which I believe resembles Bob Ross's Happy Little Trees, minus the public broadcasting. I need to give my wanton desires a break. I gotta go to a bar, order a Coca-Cola, and throw some darts. Think about something, anything, other than you standing there on fire in the freezing rain. Another poem about Bob Dylan, number 4. I can almost make him out in the solitary darkness, standing there like Gregory Peck, his only friend, his gun. He claims he has changed and wants to settle down, and I'm awakened by his startling transformation, awakened by his internal conflict spilling onto these black and white western streets. Like a fire in the sun, I am quickly burning out. I'm not sure even this man's words will be enough of a life preserver. Another hungry kid, Dan, trying to make a name for himself. Another legendary gunfighter, Rich, trying to escape his less than heroic past. Another song and dance man, ready to hang up his pistols and spurs and call it a day. His only refuge, a woman's heart. He was born a gunfighter, and someday he will surely die a gunfighter. What's it to you? Oh, if there's an original thought out there, I could use it right now. Clute. I'm ready to join this Wild West show. long before the stars are torn down. Last piece I want to read. Last piece is I was talking to Elizabeth before about the art of creation, creativity. Actually, it'll be two more. I'm going to end with a Bob poem, but we were talking about creativity and why we do it or don't do it. This is called Naked Poets. I like to think we're all naked poets, but nothing could be further from the truth. Too many supposed poets taking the easy way out and only writing about what they do not know instead of what they have experienced in this life or a past life or even a future life on another planet or deep underground. Too many writers filtering their slaughterhouse words because they're afraid they will be rounded up and brought to a death camp to be experimented on for all of their ineffectiveness. It's just my opinion, of course, and maybe being a clothed poet makes more sense in these days of lost irony, where one's poetic license has been traded in for a Starbucks gift card. I've even been told clothed poets make better lovers, which I think is total bunk, because no lovemaking is worth its weight in gold fillings if your intellect is not writhing in ecstasy when your partner checks your oil and replaces your brake pads. Naked poets have more of a tendency to go the extra mile long after the wheels have fallen off and we're cooped up in some nondescript truck stop, in some nondescript rest area where all of the nondescript people grunt like sows and are led around by a nondescript Christian God they believe they're on a first-name basis with. Maybe I am not even a naked poet and am just another loser writing the losing end. While the ghost of Nathaniel West reaches out to me from beyond the grave, and the day of the locust mocks me, like all alienated and desperate works of unparalleled genius have a tendency to do. Perhaps I'm just another Dylan wannabe who thinks they're breaking all the rules, when no rules in fact exist. And Dylan was right on target when he said, "I accept chaos. I'm not sure whether it accepts me." Put on your windbreaker, get on your bicycle, and ride around the promenade like any other legend who knows how it feels gathering no moss while standing in front of the crowd completely naked and bereft of any second or third nincompoop notions. I wish I could take off my clothes and write this poem in the buff. But my mother is in the dining room reading the newspaper, and I know she wouldn't get it. It's odd how poetry seems to more often than not divide us, rather than bringing us together into a more enlightened jumping off place. Too many writers tamping down their black powder verse for a more reserved and less confrontational tone. Fuck that. I believe it's time we throw caution to the freewheeling wind and write about what's going on. Pulling no punches while pushing the river, and celebrating those who dare to break ranks with their counterintuitive clap-trap prose while spilling their precious bodily fluids down on the killing floor. And Bob Dylan's coming on tour. He starts his tour in New Jersey at the Borgata. It's a casino. Isn't it Borgata? Is that right, Dan? On the 10th of April, there's somebody who stands naked in front of the crowd. He's been doing it all his life. This is entitled Another Poem for Bob Dylan, number 5. I'd also like to read it for my friend Dan, who was nice enough to come out tonight. He's really tired, moving around other people's money or counting. I don't know what the fuck he does. He does something really important, though. This is called Another Poem for Bob Dylan, number 5. I have CDs. If you want to buy one, they're $5. You should buy one so we can eat. That'd be nice. We don't ask for much. I don't want to eat beefaroni. God damn it. But seriously, I want to thank you two here. This place is really great. If you don't fight with the crowd, it isn't a poetry reading. Singing dirge. He's a Jewish cantor. He's everything and he's nothing, encapsulated into nothing and everything. Like a slave in orbit. Like a meteor from space. Superman was Clark Kent's worst fucking nightmare. Thinking about eating a couple of hot dogs with sauerkraut and French's yellow mustard. It's a beginning. It's Exodus without the cries in the wilderness or the unleavened bread. My Passover could beat the shit out of your Easter. I know it's not a contest, but if it were, my unforgiving God would beat the tar out of your turn the other cheek, son of man. Let's start with heavy petting. And if that doesn't get us anywhere, then you can have your way with me once the roofie kicks in and Fat Albert promises to leave the room. He's guilty. There is just something about the way he sings that transports me to another level of consciousness. I was 14 years old. I didn't want to watch another episode of WKRP in Cincinnati. Nobody wanted to hang out with me except for my dog Bogey, and for some reason I always left him in the garage when I got home from school. I had put on Highway 61 Revisited from the library, long overdue, one time and couldn't figure that shit out, so I took it off. This is a real vinyl record, kids, not that shit they say it's a CD or an iPod today. I put on that record a second time and something clicked. Something clicked, and I've never lifted that needle since. I love how he leaves no rolling stone unturned while inventing a new language that beats the crap out of however we used to communicate before he appeared on the scene like a vengeful spirit or circus oddity. He makes being a freak cool as he takes every one of us hostage with his Dog Day afternoon declarations of independence and inconsolable heartache. Emoting dirge. It's a song on the record Planet Waves. Get it. Find it. It will change you. It will alter your molecules. He's a Christian minstrel. He's breaking bad while making it perfectly clear there never was anything to return home to. Thank you, and God bless you.